This rye bread is made real similar to the wheat bread that I made in the last video. So if you saw that video, you're set. No, let's get going here. I've got 3/4 of a cup of water here. So I'm going to add another half a cup of milk. So we're going to have 1.5 cups, or 1.25 cups total here of liquid. Okay. And then we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of this molasses. Let me spray the measuring cup here. Make it a little bit easier to come out. Let's see if I can do this without getting this everywhere, including all over myself. 1/3 of a cup of molasses. Okay. It's slowly coming out of there. See if we can coax it out a little bit faster. Alright, and give that a stir. I'm going to stir this up, and we're going to put this in the microwave so we can heat it up to somewhere between 105 and 115 degrees. It'll take about a minute. Okay, let's put that in the microwave. Okay, this has been in the microwave for 1 minute. Let's give it a quick stir and we'll take its temperature to see where we're at here. Let's see. We're at 109, so that's good. Let me give this just one more quick stir because that molasses tends to not want to stir up when it's stuck on the bottom there. This is unsulfured molasses. I'm not sure what sulfured molasses would be, but I think that would sound like it would be pretty bad. We'll put that aside. Okay, so now we're going to add our yeast. This is just a package of instant yeast, and we're going to add that to the warm liquid here and let that bloom up. Give that a quick stir. Okay, and we'll set this aside and get our dry ingredients together here. Set that over here and let that bloom up for about 5 minutes or so. In this bowl, I've already got about 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. So to this, I'm going to add 1 cup of rye flour. This is just dark rye flour. You can get it at the grocery store. Cup out here. I've got a knife here to level it off with. If I can do it without making another big mess. Okay. And then we got 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder we're going to add. This is just unsweetened cocoa powder. There's one and another one. And we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And I've got another half one here. Okay. And then we're going to add these caraway seeds. This is optional. A lot of people don't like caraway seeds, but I love them. So we're going to add, the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon, but I'm going to make it a heaping tablespoon because I really like caraway seeds in my rye bread. So there we go. That's a good tablespoon of that. Alright, and we'll mix this together real good and let that yeast continue to bloom here for a few more minutes, and then we'll add it all together and start mixing. This is what the yeast looks like when it's been foaming up for about 5 minutes or so, so I think we're ready to go ahead and add that to our dry ingredients now. Go ahead and pour the whole thing in there, and we'll start mixing it up. Start off with the paddle attachment. And once we get it mixed up, we'll switch to our dough hook. And I'm going to go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of softened butter to this also. This is unsalted butter. Okay. And I think that's probably good enough on the paddle attachment. Let's go ahead and add our dough hook. Get some of this off of here. Okay, and we'll let this go for about 5 minutes on medium-low speed. This dough tends to be a little bit sticky, and it is sticking to the bottom of the bowl some, so I'm going to add just some more flour, 1 spoonful at a time, just to see if I can get it a little bit less sticky. Maybe 1 more. Okay, we'll see what that does. After we're done with the mixer, I kind of like to finish it up by hand, so we'll pour the dough out here onto the work surface after I get a little bit of flour out here, and just kind of finish it up by hand, get it into kind of a nice ball shape. So let's plop this thing out here. It's a little bit, like I say, this dough is kind of sticky, so it needs a little bit of coaxing out of there. But that's pretty good. So let's just kind of form this into a ball shape and knead it just for about a minute or so. Okay, that's probably pretty good. Let's do the old poke test and see if it bounces back. And it looks like it's bouncing back, so I think we're in pretty good shape here to let it rise. So I'm going to spray my bowl and put it in there. And we'll just kind of coat it, move it around to coat it with that spray. And I've got these lids that I use instead of plastic wrap, and I'll put that in a warm place and let it rise for about an hour. Okay, I actually let this go about an hour and 20 minutes because I kind of lost track of time. So let's see what we got here. It looks like it's all nicely risen up. So now we're going to go ahead and flatten it down and form it into kind of a log shape so that it can fit in the loaf pan easily. Okay, so here we go. We're going to flatten this thing down. And, okay, now we're just going to roll it up into a log. Just like that. And let me spray the pan real quick. And we'll stick it in here. Cover that with a kitchen towel. And we'll let that rise for about 30 minutes or so. Okay, this has been rising for a little over 30 minutes. Let's see what we have here. So that looks good. It's risen just above the top of the pan. So we're ready to put this into a 350-degree oven. This will go in for 45 minutes. You could also do this on a baking sheet. And if I were to do it on a baking sheet, I would probably decrease the time by about maybe 5 minutes or so. about halfway through the baking time, I like to put a sheet of foil over the top of the bread just to make sure it doesn't get too dark on the top. I don't think this is really necessary, but I always seem to do it. And I put that with the shiny side up. Okay, we are done. I'm going to coat it with some butter here and let it sit on the wire rack for about 15 minutes or so. And then I'll pull it out of the pan and let it continue cooling on the wire rack, and then after that I'll slice it up for you so you can see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, this has been cooling on this wire rack now for about an hour, I guess, and now we're going to slice it up. I showed you my handy dandy bread slicing guide in the last video, so we're going to use it again here. This is, I love this thing. Okay, so here we go, and put the bread in there, get that out of the way, and come around here to where we're on the skinny end, and get it situated just right here, and got my trusty electric knife here. I love using this thing. If I didn't have bread to slice up, I'd probably be looking for something around the house to slice, because this thing is a lot of fun to use. So here we go. Okay, let's see what this looks like now. We'll pull it out of here and move that off to the side. And kind of spread this out a little bit so we can see it. And there we go. Nice rye bread. Hope you enjoy.